Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. Authorities in the English county of Worcestershire say that a 56-year-old woman has pleaded guilty to several charges this week after she drunkenly smashed up several of her neighbors' cars following a dispute over parking spaces. According to reports, near the beginning of this year, 56-year-old Annette Keeley of Worcester became increasingly angry with three of her neighbors, believing that they were constantly using her boyfriend's parking space. Each time, the neighbors reminded her that there were actually no assigned spaces at their apartment complex, and that everyone was free to park wherever there were spots available. Keeley was apparently not satisfied with this explanation, and continued to harbor a grudge about the issue. Things finally came to a head on the night of February 3rd, when Keeley allegedly consumed a sizable amount of wine and whiskey, and evidently decided that it was time to settle things once and for all. At around 10:45 p.m., she grabbed the 3-foot-long handle of a pickaxe, went outside, and began to smash up her neighbors' vehicles. Apparently, the rampage lasted for some time, with Keeley repeatedly striking 3 vehicles, mostly focusing on their hoods and windshields. At least part of the incident was captured on a CCTV camera, where Keeley could also be seen allegedly threatening and trying to assault one of the victims when he came outside. In subsequent interviews about what had happened, the man described his disbelief over the crime, saying, quote, "I mean, she was raging, like some kind of wild animal. I really couldn't believe what I was seeing. I could see she had a huge piece of wood and was smashing up the cars. She must have hit them 100 times or more." The incident finally came to an end when Keeley's boyfriend came out and managed to convince her to come back inside. On March 4th, Keeley pleaded guilty to 3 counts of criminal damage and also admitted to assaulting one of the victims. She was fined £200 and ordered to pay £100 in compensation to each of the victims, as well as a £34 victim surcharge. Finally, she was ordered to pay the man she admitted to assaulting a further £50. At least 2 of the victims have since come out and expressed disappointment over the fines, saying that the compensation Keeley was ordered to pay still fell hundreds of pounds short of what they had to pay out of pocket to fix their vehicles. Authorities in the Colombian department of Atlántico say that they have arrested 5 women this week after they allegedly pretended to be pregnant in order to try and smuggle a sizable quantity of drugs onto an airplane. According to reports, the incident began at around 2:30 a.m. on March 4th at the Ernesto Cortizo International Airport in the city of Barranquilla. As officers at the airport were screening passengers waiting to board a flight to Bogotá, they noticed something strange about one of the women in line. While she appeared to be pregnant, something didn't quite look right, and she was taken to a secondary screening area. Sure enough, when officers conducted a search, they figured out what the problem was. The woman wasn't carrying a baby, she was carrying several bricks of cocaine. When authorities grounded the woman's flight for further inspection, they quickly found out that she wasn't alone. She was traveling with 4 other women, all of whom were also smuggling cocaine under the guise of being pregnant. Another suspect, a man who was traveling with the women, was also soon taken in for questioning. He had actually managed to get on the plane with his drugs, allegedly abandoning them in the bathroom where they were found by police. In total, authorities say that they recovered 14 packages of cocaine, weighing a total of 16.5 kilograms, or about 36 pounds. Charges against the 6 suspects are still pending at the time of this recording. However, police say that they could be facing charges for manufacturing, trafficking, and possession of illegal drugs. Authorities in the Indian state of Rajasthan say that they have arrested the father and wife of a murder victim this week after they allegedly killed him to try and cover up their affair. According to reports, the incident took place on the night of March 5th, when the victim, Vikram Singh, returned to his home in the municipality of Behror and discovered his father Balwant and his wife Pooja in a, quote, compromising position. After accusing the two of having an affair, Balwant and Pooja allegedly went into a panic and strangled Vikram to death. Following the killing, the two suspects reportedly hung Vikram's body from a ceiling fan inside the house to make it look like he had taken his own life. The next morning, Pooja ran outside, yelling to friends and neighbors that she had found the body to try and cover her and Balwant's tracks. However, it seems that some were suspicious of the story, as police were called and took possession of Vikram's body before it could be cremated. Further investigation of the remains led police to believe that Vikram had been murdered. On March 9th, Pooja was arrested in connection with the crime and allegedly confessed to everything. Vikram's father was arrested later that day. At the time of this recording, both suspects remain in police custody. Representatives from the Hong Kong police force say that they have arrested a 35-year-old man this week believed to be behind a string of recent robberies after he allegedly pushed his luck a little too far at a local takeout restaurant. According to reports, the suspect first became known to police on March 3rd, when he began his crime spree at a convenience store in the Kowloon West region. Over the next few days, he would go on to rob one more convenience store and a gas station, making off with an estimated total of roughly 2,500 Hong Kong dollars, or around $320 US. Each time, the suspect was armed with a box cutter and would threaten staff at the location, demanding cash from the register. Things reportedly took an unexpected turn for the 35-year-old suspect, though, on March 9th, when he tried to rob a takeout food stand on Tak Tai Path in Kwai Chung. At approximately 11:50 p.m., the suspect allegedly walked up to a 60-year-old employee of the business wielding his box cutter, just as he had with his previous targets. However, instead of being intimidated by the suspect's threats, the worker ignored him completely, proceeding to silently walk over to the kitchen and retrieve a meat cleaver. As soon as the suspect saw what he was doing, he reportedly ran for his life. The 35-year-old man was subsequently identified thanks to the restaurant's CCTV cameras and was arrested less than 12 hours later as he left his apartment building. A search of the residence was conducted, during which authorities recovered the man's box cutter as well as the clothes he was allegedly wearing at the time of the robbery. At the time of this recording, the suspect remains in custody and appears to be awaiting charges. He has not been identified by name. Authorities in the Nigerian city of Lagos say that they have arrested a man in connection with the murder of a 22-year-old fashion designer this week, after her body was found along a bus route where she was last seen alive. According to reports, at around 7 p.m. on February 26th, 22-year-old Oluwa Bamishe Ayanwole, who went by the name Bamishe, boarded a bus rapid transit vehicle in the city of Lekki. The bus was supposed to take her part of the way into Lagos, where she would continue her journey to the town of Ota, where she would usually spend her weekends with her sister. However, once aboard the bus, Bamishe became nervous. Through voice notes on her phone, she began to message one of her friends, saying that the driver was acting strangely, and that he wasn't stopping to let additional passengers on at other bus stops. She said that there were 3 men and a woman on the bus, and sent the friend a video to show her how suspiciously dark it was inside the vehicle. Finally, she sent the friend the number of the bus, saying it was in case anything happened to her. She asked her friend to pray for her. After that, Bamishe was never heard from again. Though a missing persons investigation was launched, sadly, on March 7th, police announced that Bamishe had been found dead on the Carter Bridge, located on Lagos Island, along her bus route. Her body had sustained horrifying injuries. The same day that the news of the murder was released, authorities also announced that they had made an arrest in connection with the case. The suspect was Bamishe's bus driver, a man named Andrew Omenenikaran. Following his arrest, the bus driver denied any wrongdoing, claiming that he himself was also a victim. According to him, he was approached by 3 men on the bus at the time of the murder who threatened him with weapons, and that there was nothing he could do. However, the man also seemed to offer conflicting accounts of his story, bizarrely claiming that he still thought Bamishe was on board after the 3 suspects tried to drag her off the bus. At the time of this recording, it's unclear if police believe that the bus driver is the sole person responsible for Bamishe's murder, or if they are still searching for these 3 other unknown men. Some witnesses have also allegedly come forward claiming that they saw Bamishe's body being thrown from the bus before it was found. However, these accounts weren't mentioned in all of the reports that we came across. One thing is for certain though, the Nigerian public wants answers. The crime has ignited a firestorm on social media, with the slogan "Justice for Bamishe" trending on Twitter for several days. The situation is still under investigation. Authorities in the Thai province of Chonburi say that they have arrested a 37-year-old man this week after he allegedly ran into traffic several times while intoxicated, apparently believing he was protected by a magical flower. According to reports, the situation began early in the evening on March 8th, when police in Chonburi district started to receive calls from concerned motorists who told them that a drunk, shirtless man was running onto busy roadways in front of vehicles. Apparently, the man was observed running, shouting, and dancing, all while drivers desperately tried to avoid hitting him or causing an accident. When police arrived at the scene, they found the 37-year-old suspect just as he had been described, still running out onto the road. When police told him to stop, he refused, leading them on a short chase. He was quickly caught, but reportedly remained uncooperative. Eventually, several officers were forced to physically restrain him and carry him to one of their vehicles. He was subsequently identified as Yutsiri Wangwiset. Before he was taken to the police station, Wangwiset allegedly gave a rather amusing explanation for his actions. He pointed to a pink flower he was wearing on one of his ears, saying that it made him invisible and protected him from harm. He also offered what he apparently thought would be an instant get-out-of-jail-free card, saying, quote, "I was invisible when I was in traffic, nobody actually saw me, so I didn't commit any crimes." Unfortunately for the 37-year-old, the flower, although presumably pleasant to look at, was not imbued with the magical powers he seemed to think it was, and he was subsequently put in jail. He has since been charged with causing a public disturbance, public intoxication, and resisting arrest. Authorities in the Turkish province of Ankara say that a 27-year-old police officer has been sentenced to 31 years in prison this week after he was found guilty of assaulting and attempting to murder his 22-year-old wife. The incident took place back in the fall of 2020, just 18 days after Muslim Aktas and his wife Sevginur were married. According to reports, though the couple had gone ahead with the wedding, they were far from happy, as Aktas had been controlling and abusive towards Sevginur for some time. She said that she stayed with him because she feared the threats of violence he would make any time she said she wanted to break up. Each time she tried, he would allegedly say, quote, "Only death will separate us." Things finally came to a head on September 13th, when Aktas reportedly refused to let his wife see her relatives. The two began to argue, after which Aktas took Sevginur to the bedroom and assaulted her. When it was finally over, Sevginur said that she wanted a divorce, prompting Aktas to drag her into the bathroom and shoot her in the head. After that, he allegedly tried to cover his tracks by frantically calling emergency responders and saying that his wife had tried to kill herself with his police service weapon. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Sevginur suffering from a single gunshot wound to the head, just as Aktas had described. It seemed like he might get away with the crime. That was, until his wife woke up from her coma 2 months later. When she did, she told investigators everything. This week, Aktas was sentenced to 31 years in prison in connection with the crime. According to reports, he continues to claim that he is innocent. Authorities in the Australian state of Queensland say that one person is dead and 2 other people have been seriously injured this week, after a woman allegedly broke into the home of her former boyfriend and set him, his new girlfriend, and their home on fire. According to reports, the incident began at around 3 a.m. on March 10th, when residents in New Beith, located about 40 kilometers south of downtown Brisbane, noticed flames erupting from the home of one of their neighbors. The property belonged to a man named Stanley Obi and his 30-year-old girlfriend, who had moved in just 6 months before. At the time, Stanley's 3 young children from a previous relationship were also staying with them. Police and firefighters were called, and Stanley's girlfriend was able to escape along with all of the children. However, there was no sign of Stanley anywhere. As the house was quickly engulfed by flames, a couple of neighbors decided they had to intervene. One of them, a man referred to only as Al, charged into the burning residence, managing to rescue Stanley from the flames. However, as authorities would soon find out, there was still one person inside, Stanley's former girlfriend, 31-year-old Sarah Mudge. She was also allegedly the one who had started the fire. According to reports, Mudge was in a long-term relationship with Stanley up until a few months ago and was the mother of his 3 children. When the relationship ended, Stanley moved in with his new girlfriend, eventually purchasing the home that would be the scene of the fire. Police say that on the morning of the blaze, Mudge broke into the couple's home through their bedroom window, dousing them with gasoline and lighting them on fire. However, flames apparently spread farther and faster than the 31-year-old had anticipated, and she became trapped in a nearby hallway. By the time emergency responders arrived, it was too late. Mudge was dead. Sadly, though Stanley and his girlfriend managed to get out of the fire alive, authorities say that they are not yet in the clear. Stanley reportedly suffered burns to 90% of his body, and it remains unclear if he will survive. The exact nature of his girlfriend's injuries have not yet been reported. Following the deadly fire, investigators reportedly surfaced a message that Mudge had recently posted to Facebook, the contents of which are chilling in the light of this week's events. Under the heading, Relationship Rules, the 31-year-old reportedly wrote, quote, "She's not toxic, bro. You made her like that. Now you think that she is crazy. Your decisions reflect her actions. Check yourself." At the time of this recording, the situation is still developing and an investigation into the crime is ongoing. That brings us to the end of this edition of Crimes of the Week International. If you're a fan of the new series, don't forget to tell us in the comments section below. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Thank you for watching.